Marjorie Taylor Greene is vulnerable in the upcoming 2026 midterm elections. We are seeing Republicans across the country lose by double digits where they've won previously. Now, I had an opportunity to sit down with the man who is running against her. It's Brigadier General Shawn Harris. He ran against her in 2024, and he's running it back for a second time. And we talked about all the issues that are facing the nation, his district, what he would do in office, and his path to victory. Check it out. All right, Brigadier General Harris, how are you doing today?
I'm great, man. It's so glad to be on your show today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So you have, and I've already told people this, but you have the privilege of running against Marjorie Taylor Greene in Georgia's 14th district. And not only are you going to do it, you have done it. So the question is, why don't you like yourself? Why are you doing this?
No, I love myself. And what I would tell you, the reason why I'm doing it again is because the people here in Northwest Georgia deserve it. They deserve somebody that's going to listen to them, somebody's going to care about them, and somebody's going to lead. You know, when you see anything about me, I talk about leadership matters. And right now, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she is 100% focused on herself. It is not one day that she wakes up and says, what can I do for Northwest Georgia? It's all about Marjorie, 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 and then Donald Trump.
Yeah, I see that she is without question. We have, so many members of Congress, the Senate. We've got 535 total.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, we see her on TV on a daily basis. How often do you see her in your district on TV? How often is she doing News Channel 6?
The answer to that is a big flat zero. When Marjorie is not in DC and she's supposed to be at home, you never see her. We see her on social media where she's out hiking somewhere or out doing some crossfitting, but she's not doing any town halls. You know, the last town hall she did, she tased everybody and put people in jail and all that kind of craziness. So when Marjorie's here, unless you inside of her inner circle, you never see her. And then she doesn't, like I said, she doesn't make herself available to any of the citizens to say, okay, I got an issue. How can I talk to you? How can I get this actually cleared up? So she's running around in her own little small bubble, and that bubble is not about the people who are here in Northwest Georgia.
Now, so you are from Northwest Georgia originally, is that right?
No, I'm originally from Southwest Georgia.
Southwest Georgia. Where exactly in Southwest? Where?
That's priceless. That's the Early County Bobcats. That's big time, man. That's big time.
I told my wife, I said, you know what? I think I'm gonna catch him off guard with this.
You exactly right. You definitely caught me off guard. That is big time. Wow. To all my friends back at Early County High School, you are the man.
There you go. There it is, Early County. It's actually, maybe their gear will blow up because I love the design.
Hey, man, it's the best. You can't beat the Bobcats.
There you go. There you go. But, and seriously, though, you're from Georgia. I see the shirt. I know the shirt.
Yes.
Georgia's home.
Thank you for this shirt. Let me make
absolutely.
sure you can see it.
Yeah.
Home.
Perfect. But so this is where you're from. So Georgia means something to you. Of course, I think everybody that gets in is running against the incumbent. But what are you running for?
What I'm running for is making sure that people have an opportunity to live their lives, to actually have a great job, a high-paying job. Right now, the economy is crazy. Grocery prices are high. Medical costs are high. Everybody's losing their job. Everything is upside down. What I want to do here in Northwest Georgia is bring a calm back, work across the aisle with Democrats and Republicans and independents to make sure that when you start talking about Northwest Georgia, it's not about being crazy. It's about leadership. It's about taking care of the people and making sure that we have what we need. As you know, just like Early County, Northwest Georgia is not the richest part of this state. So at the end of the day, whoever's in Congress got to wake up every day and say, okay, what can I do to make things better for the people back here at home, our farmers, our senior citizens, our veterans, the whole 9 yards. And right now, the individual that's in that chair is doing absolutely nothing. So that's why I get up every day. Just like for 40 years, I put the uniform on. I'm going to fight for the people here in Northwest Georgia and stay focused on them only.
So you brought up working across the aisle. And that to me right now is, at least the way it appears, is just not happening. It is, things are very hyper partisan. If somebody dares, you look at Thomas Massey, dare step out of line, all of a sudden they're a pariah in their own party. So how do you bridge that gap? How do you first not only work across the aisle, but maybe convince somebody the more stubborn in your own party to say, hey, this is the right thing to do?
You know, one of the things that we learn in the military is we don't all have to like each other. And when I'm talking about not only the U.S. military, but we actually partner with militaries all around the world. Some of those militaries that we partner with wasn't always our friends. Okay. So I have learned over the years is I can always find something with an individual that we can agree upon. And whatever that one or two things that we can agree upon, let's work on that. Leave all this other stuff out there, because that's why I say here in Northwest Georgia needs somebody in DC that's going to understand. Yeah, I got on a blue shirt, somebody else got on a red shirt. But if they're veterans, if they're real leaders, many of us that live in these rural communities understand that we have to work together, because as the country starts to hurt more and more, you're going to see that effect in the rural communities first before you see it in our major cities. You're going to see where the hospitals start shutting down. You're going to see where our veterans don't have the care they need to have. And you're going to see where our farmers are going bankrupt. So that's why we need somebody that's willing to work across the aisle. When I get to DC, yes, I am a Democrat. However, when I go to vote, I'm going to vote for what is best for Northwest Georgia. And I think you can talk to any Democrat here in Georgia, they'll tell you that Shawn is in the middle. He is not extreme on anything. And I think here in Northwest Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene is extreme to extreme to extreme. People here in Northwest Georgia want somebody got leadership, somebody's going to be in the middle, and somebody's going to stay focused on their needs.
Now, you brought up prices. And of course, beef record high right now.
Yes.
Northwest Georgia, how important is beef? What are they saying about the prices right now?
You know, beef is very important to us. As you know, I'm a beef producer myself. I raise cattle. I was just at the Cattlemen Association last night for Polk County. Let me explain this on two different terms of beef. As a beef producer or a cattle farmer, we are excited about beef prices. We're getting somewhere between $5.50 a pound to $6 a pound. That's unbelievable. However, on the flip side of the coin, when people go to the grocery store, the other side of the coin, steaks and ground beef. Let's talk ground beef. Ground beef is at an all-time high. So the customer is going to have to make a decision. Can they afford to eat our good quality beef? Or are they going to say, no, I'm going to move the chicken. I'm going to move the fish. That right there, at some point, I believe between now and 2026, all of these things going to come to a head, and either beef prices are going to fall on my side as a producer, or the American people are going to say, you know what, I cannot afford to eat ground beef anymore. And then on top of that, we have a supply problem, because as you know, we have an issue where we can't bring any more inputs into the country because of a particular disease that's actually happening right now with our beef cattle.
So when you get to, let's say you find yourself, you're in Congress, you've got the House, the Democrats have the House, Republicans have, it really doesn't matter who has the Senate, because ultimately Donald Trump will still be the president. And yeah, right
Correct.
now, there's a lot of things that are affecting beef prices, but prices are up across the board. How do you get to Donald Trump to say, if you were there now, how do you think you could work with him, get to him to say, hey, look, your tariffs, your policies, this is what's causing the rise in prices. This is what we need to do. Maybe we can keep some tariffs. How do you get to him, I guess?
The way I get to him is very simple. I make sure that I let his staff know that prior to coming to the military, coming here to Congress, I was a soldier. And I would go in there and say, look, I want to have a meeting with you and the vice president and whoever else you want to have. And I would sit down with them, not as a Democrat, but as just a leader, just as somebody that has played out there in the world and say, President Trump, you are all about the rural community. That is your program. I'm here representing the rural community, and I'm telling you that your policies are hurting the rural community. The key thing about this conversation is when I get there in November 2026, the big, beautiful bill results will clearly be on the table. It will not be any hiding from it or not. I believe if you come in there with Donald Trump and speak clearly, not putting your head down and being like you're scared or something, he will listen because it's been proven many times the last person in the office is the one that he listens to. So I'm willing to go to his damn office every day and talk on behalf of the people here in Northwest Georgia if I have to. It's not about my pride. It's about doing what's best for the people here in Northwest Georgia.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. When you see there's two types of people when dealing with Donald Trump. There is Tim Cook of Apple, who brings him a solid gold present, and here you are, sir, genuflex, and then you look at Macron of France, who comes in, looks him in the eye, they have the handshake contest, and it seems like he gets more results out of Donald Trump, and Donald Trump has maybe a little higher set of respect for him. It's a different, certainly a different relationship between the two.
I've seen leaders like Donald Trump before, and I'm not the guy to go in and stroke somebody's ego. However, Donald Trump is a strong-minded person. Then as a leader, you got to go in the room being very strong-minded also and show him that you believe in your position. I think right now, too many people go into office, they don't believe in the issue that they really bring to the table, and they cave. But now, that's what's actually happening. He is dominating the room. At the end of the day, my job, I got one job when I go to Congress, and that's to represent 10 counties here in the great state of Georgia called Georgia-14th. And I think if I walk in that office, Donald Trump says, wait a minute, you used to be General Harris. Yes, sir. You used to run around Afghanistan. Yes, sir. And now, sir, I'm a cattle farmer. I live right here in Rockmart, Georgia, and I'm fighting for the people on the 14th. And, sir, by the way, most of them voted for you. But I'm the guy who beat Marjorie Taylor Greene. And because they wanted change, now we got to bring something back here, or there's going to be a whole bunch of BS going on. And I think he'll say, you got some balls. And he'll say, you know what, Shawn? Let's do it.
I think so. And between you and me, don't tell anybody else. I don't want this getting out. But I think he would love you just for beating Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I think so, too.
I think Donald Trump thank the Lord she is gone.
I can't. My job is to beat Marjorie Taylor Greene. But as a senior leader, as somebody that looks at strategy all the time, I can't understand what Marjorie's trying to do, because one day she is in love with Donald Trump. The next day she's fighting Donald Trump. The next day she's fighting the Republican Party at national level. The next day she's fighting the Republican Party right here in the great state of Georgia, saying it's a good old boys club. So at the end of the day, I believe that Marjorie Taylor Greene is actually looking for a way out of this job. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene really wants a job to be on Fox News or on some kind of podcast so that she can actually just do it, walk away, and have no responsibility. And what I'm saying to Marjorie is this, directly on your show. Last time we went through this process, Marjorie never said my name. She never showed up for a forum. She never showed up for a debate. This time, based on already being in Congress for 5 years and doing absolutely nothing other than changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. That's her big thing. Yep. And that's absolutely nothing. That put no food on the table. I'm saying to Marjorie, if you are so confident in your job, then debate Shawn Harris. I'm just a retired general officer. There's nothing special about me. You can run circles around me. Come out and stand in front of the people here in Northwest Georgia and actually explain what you have done, and I explain what I want to do, and let's let the people make a decision. But I guarantee you what she's going to do. She's going to continue to hide. She's going to continue to run, and she's just going to try to keep separating the people versus saying, what can we all agree upon? And one thing we can agree upon here in Northwest Georgia, things are starting to get real bad, real quick.
Now, the thought of Marjorie Taylor Greene having a show, when I think about it, I'm like, what would it be called and what in the world would it be about besides what grinds my gears? But anyways, I don't want to get into that.
Let me just say, I'm glad you brought that up, because the question that I've been trying to get to Marjorie is, you go back three and a half weeks ago when they were all in DC right before they closed early and all this kind of craziness. Marjorie was the one that was screaming, we got to get the Epstein files out. We got to get the Epstein files out. Well, we're back. You know just as well I know, the Epstein files that they released the other day is the same old junk that they already had. Everybody's read that stuff before. Marjorie Taylor Greene has not said one word. So right now, she is back on the administrative side of trying to play this game of saying, Mega, he gave us something, so let's just be quiet. I want to see Marjorie Taylor Greene, if she truly believes that the Epstein files need to be released. I agree with her. I think make sure we don't mess with any of the victims. But anybody who was actually touching those young ladies or doing inappropriate things should go to jail.
Yeah.
That's one thing I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene on. However, I'm still asking for the files. Margie's got quiet, and that's what I want to know. Why has she got quiet? And I also want to know, how does she keep making all this money off the stock market? Because somebody here in Northwest Georgia really needs to know.
Yeah, speaking of the Epstein files, for me, the people that were the loudest for all these years, Patel, Bongino, Epstein files, oh, wait till we get in. The whole MAGA is, you're all going to be scared once Donald Trump gets in there. Then Bondi, they're on my desk. Now suddenly it's a hoax. And that's why the whole country is like, wait a second. I think I want to see them now. Because the people who told me you're going to bring down the Democrats, Bill Gates, whoever else, now you're telling me they're not real. Don't worry about it. That's like if you're with somebody and they're looking at their phone and, it's a little suspicious and you say, what are you looking at? Oh, just a recipe. And they won't show you. Right. You want to see the recipe. Let me see what you're looking at, Right. And so, yeah, it's a wild time that they're quiet about it. It's going to be interesting to see how that ends or doesn't end.
And what I will say further to that, mark my words, from now to the time Margie comes back home at the end of this session, not one thing will get done between now and then. We're going to get to September 30th, and we're going to be playing the same games that when the Democrats were in charge, the government's about to shut down. So the simple question that I'm actually saying to the people here in Northwest Georgia, what has changed? We're still going to be in a situation where the government's trying to shut down. And when the government shuts down, it affects the people here, the jobs that we have, very quickly, because many people work for jobs that are supported by the federal government in some kind of way.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is like right now, and that's, I think, the problem with Congress, that why Congress has such a low approval rating. It always does, but it's getting to all-time lows. We never seem to get anything done, anything meaningful. You mentioned the Gulf of Mexico. Like, nobody cares. Nobody cares if that happened. But if nothing happens between now and the next recess, that means the Farm Bill doesn't get renewed, which has just been on extent. It's 2018 was the last time. And I can't imagine. So when I think of the Farm Bill, I think of farmers. I think of Northwest Georgia. What is the impact? What are people saying there?
Well, I would tell you, just last night at my cattle association, I told the guys I was going to be having a town hall here in the next couple of days, and everybody's welcome to come. And many of the people that are in that cattle association with me are Republicans. But one of the key things that came out of that was, Shawn, regardless of what you're saying you want to work on, if you get there, you got to get us a farm bill. And the reason why that has come so true is not because just for the cattlemen, but the real people that we need the farm bill for is right now for all the guys that do the row crops. If you track farming, our fellow brothers and sisters that actually plant the cotton, the corn, the soybeans, and all those kind of things that go back and forth to China and all these other places, they are the farms that are going bankrupt right now because Donald Trump is not giving them the money that they need to start their crops. And then on top of that, we're still working off a 2018 farm bill. The reality of it is, inflation has went up. So I'm gonna use my farm as an example. If we had a flood here and my poles that keep my fences up for the cows to stay in actually floated away, and now I need to replace them. 2018, the price of that pole was probably about $15 per wooden pole. Now that pole is somewhere between $23 and $24. But the federal government, when they actually come in here and say, Shawn, we're going to help you, guess what? What they're going to give me money for? 2018. So guess what? I still don't have enough money to replace to bring my farm back to where I needed to be. That's why a new farm bill is so important. What I would tell you, what concerns me is the big, beautiful bill. It handpicked one or two little bitty things and threw it in there for the farmers to make us feel like we were special. But my biggest worry is because that went into the big, beautiful bill, is that now they're not going to come back and even address the real farm bill and make us whole. And I think that is going to be a major reason why farmers switch from Republican to Democrat. Or let me rephrase that. They're going to switch from whoever in Congress to whoever, Democrat or Republican, that is vowing when they get there, they're going to work together to get a farm bill done. And like we mentioned earlier, remember I talked about reaching across the aisle. If somebody's from a place called Nebraska, and Nebraska is going broke right now, if you're from Arkansas and you're going broke right now, if you're from Alabama and you're potentially going broke right now, guess what ultimately seems to happen is all of us that have got this rural thing in the same deal, and we got more farmers than we actually got people living in the city. We got something that we can agree upon and say, you know what? We need to get a farm bill done. And I think that's going to be a major issue that goes forward here in this next election here in 2026.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to me that they haven't addressed it because we are in a completely, so before I continue, you've got a halo thing. You've adjusted your camera. It looks now like you have, like you've descended upon us. Like, I am here to save you. I'm here to bring you a new farm bill. But it is interesting though, because, 2020 is almost a time shift year. We've got AD and BC. We need, AC after COVID, because there is a line, and there is a clear line between the world that was and what is now. So the fact that we're still living on a 2018 bill that just keeps, and I have a feeling that this is just going to get extended. That one, I think the Republicans, not that people want to hear what I think, but I think the Republicans don't have the stomach to, or are willing to spend more money, and they'll feel, look, we're going to have to increase payouts, and we're not going to do that. We're the fiscal responsibility, and unfortunately, farmers are going to suffer as a result.
Well, I agree with you. I think that all this perceived Doge money that was supposed to be saved has already been spent up. I mean, at the end of the day, you got troops on the ground in Washington, D.C. and other places, and potentially going to Chicago. That's not free. It's not free. Yeah. It doesn't all come out the same pot of money, but ultimately, it all goes back into the same pot of money, and then leaders make a decision on where they wanted to go. The other piece about this farm bill is we still got the trade situation with the tariffs, and the tariffs are having great effect on our farmers. At the end of the day, my brothers that do row crop, cotton, soybeans, corn, peanuts, the soybean farmers, their number one purchaser is China. If we don't get a deal, there's no need for them to go out in the field and pick the crops, because it's not going anywhere, whatnot. So, and one of the things that Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene needs to understand is farming, no matter how scientific you want to get with it, you have to plant at a certain time, you have to harvest at a certain time. You can't keep saying, well, we're going to talk about it in 2 weeks. That's what Donald Trump loves to say. In 2 weeks, we're going to have a discussion. Well, guess what? In 2 weeks is well too late, because either it was the summer. Couple of days is going to be the fall. Next thing you know, it's going to be the winter. And you're going to say, well, hell, we never put anything in the field. so we don't have any crops and we're going bankrupt. This morning, the great state of Georgia, I don't know what was going on, but it was 54 degrees this morning. I had to go find a coat. I didn't know exactly where it was, but I had to go find it because it's already starting to get the touch of fall in the air.
Hmm. Yeah, and I saw something that China, when you mentioned the soybeans, is already moving purchases to Brazil.
Yes.
And
And when somebody moves to a different market, why come back?
yeah,
That is that is what keeps farmers up at night. It's, you look at it like this, you think in your mind that our farms are super big. Yeah, it's one or two farmers that are super big, but really, most farms are very small. They have 5 or 6 people that work on it, and the main is the family. So with that being said, this little farmer, this little farmer sells all their stuff. It goes into a big thing, and then it becomes a large pool of stuff. But the reality of it is, if these farmers don't have a market to sell their soybeans, then the soybeans that are actually out in the field, you can't afford the diesel price to go back out there and pick them, because who you selling them to?
yeah,
Right now, with all the shell games that are being played, with somebody signing for this and somebody's doing this and somebody's doing that, we still don't have anybody that's going to buy our soybeans. And right now, that sector of the farmers are in the hurt locker. And I, as a cattle producer, if all of a sudden America says that beef is too high to buy at the grocery store, then at some point I'm going to be in the hurt locker. And that's the only thing I'm asking Marjorie and the Trump regime and Secretary Rollins, who is over this agriculture. Get your head out your butt and let's get this deal done, because the farmers, if you we all agree, the farmers are the backbone of this country. We about to blow it, because if those markets go to Brazil, Brazil has made it clear that they want to be the breadbasket of the world, and they have the ability to do it.
yeah. And they have no right now. Brazil certainly has motivation to steal some business from the United States, the way they're being treated. Scary times, for sure.
Very scary times.
Speaking of Trump, immigration right now is probably the feather in his cap,
Mm-hmm.
right? You say what you want, the border is secure. Whether or
100%.
not, you using the military to accomplish it, is the right way to go about it. He did it. But now he's taken it a step too far, at least in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
with deportations. He said he wanted to get rid of criminals. I don't think I have to ask you if you agree with that. Heck, the Biden administration was deporting hundreds of thousands of
Mm-hmm.
illegal criminals, every year.
Yeah.
But knowing what I know about your district, what is it you want to see happen with our immigration system? How do we fix the system to where, one, we can get beer, it's just speaking of farming, to get the help that we need, the workforce we need in this country, protect this country, and also keep our humanity.
Yeah. I agree with everything that you said. Let me start this way. I agree that the Biden administration and the Trump administration have done outstanding things to shut down the border. And I agree that we need to shut down the border. The difference there is the Biden administration just didn't really talk about it that much, where the Trump administration talks about it every 5 minutes. The shutting down the border, awesome, awesome, awesome. Now let's come into the country. And what we currently doing right now, how we're picking up people off the street, we could do a better job in that. Because what President Trump told us, and even what Marjorie told us, was they were going to go out and pick up the criminals. They was going to go out and pick up the rapists, the bad. I think we can all agree upon that. Go get them out of here. However, because now we have got ourselves caught in a numbers game. How many people is going to take for you to arrest every day to get to 1 million people by a particular date, all those kind of things. Now we're out there just randomly snatching up any and everybody. How does that affect us here in Northwest Georgia? One of the things that I've been doing since the time of the last election, and even before I announced that I was going to run again, I've been going to all the different protests, and this protest not in Atlanta. You know, it's protests in Atlanta, but I've been going to protests here in Dalton, Georgia, in Somerville, Georgia, in Rome, Georgia. These are all small towns where they actually having protests against immigration. And when I say against immigration, it's not that we're saying we don't like what we're doing when it comes to immigration. We're upset on the way that we do it. As you know, probably here in the district, we didn't actually arrested young ladies for just driving the car to find out that the cop that actually pulled her over in Dalton was a dirty cop. And the person who pulled over wasn't even the person that did it, but the person was illegal in the country since she was 4 years old and almost got kicked out of the country. We got in front of that, but what I'm trying to say to you is this: the administration could do a better job in the process of what they're doing. And right now, Marjorie is beating the drums on snatch all these people up simply because you black or brown. That's not right. And then the other piece, tying back to our farmers, many of our farmers have people from other countries through the H2 program that's actually on our farms that help us. Those individuals that are here are scared to drive off the farm, or they trying to figure out how can they go back home because they don't want to get jammed up in this immigration thing because they strictly came here to work, do their job, go back home. So we have a situation where we have blown it completely out of proportion. And then on top of it, now in the last 4 days, we have now some kind of way took immigration and crime and put them all in the same little category. And that's why, if I'm not mistaken, the president is talking about illegally going to Chicago. It's one thing to have the authority to do something in Washington, D.C. It's another thing to say you're going to go to another state or to another city, because we all know Washington, D.C., when it was put together a little bit differently than every other city in this country.
Sure. Yeah, the National Guard thing, I think his whole thing is, look, I tried it in LA, the Supreme Court let it stand. I can do it here in Washington. It's almost too like as if the Supreme Court, and he kind of knows it, doesn't seem to have the stomach to take up these cases. They're kind of kicking the can down the road, not making these firm decisions on what Trump can and cannot do. But I saw the young lady in Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
It was a U-turn. She made it. Well, she didn't make a U-turn. Someone else
No.
did. They
Yes.
grabbed her. Yeah, she was in.
She was in the second car.
Yeah, she was detained for a couple months.
Yes, and then they're going to grab her dad.
And it's amazing to me because she's not the only one. We've got people who are just being snatched up, and then we've got families that are, people talk about right now. Abrego Garcia, Maryland, who's a big one, and I just think his kids just saw him for the first time in months. Now, who knows when they're going to see them again? And we are doing this damage to these kids. Now, if you're telling me this guy is a criminal, then let him have his day in court. What do we got to do to send him to Uganda, send him to El Salvador? Right. Let him have his day in court. If you can prove it, well, then great. Right. But if you can't, what are we doing here? Is this just for the sake of it? And when I think about Marjorie Taylor Greene, she is one of the biggest cheerleaders for this. For her, it cannot, at least it seems to me, this is my opinion, it doesn't seem like it can be cruel enough for her. She doesn't, the fallout, who it hurts, who it hinders, what business it might affect, just the humanity of it. It just doesn't seem to matter to her.
When I look at Marjorie Taylor Greene in this particular issue, I look at it through this lens. Anything that can distract the people of Northwest Georgia from looking at the issues, economics, what's going to feed your family, that's what Marjorie Taylor Greene wants everybody to focus on. So she's going to fan the fire on immigration. I tell you what she's not going to do. She is not going to say one word about clean water here inside the 14th, because all the way from Dalton, where we're doing all the immigration stuff and doing our protests, that's where the first cases of the PFAS actually got started. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that the carpet industry up there did it on purpose, Hell, 50 years ago, they might have thought it was fine. But now it's a forever chemical. And that chemical has went through our river system, is here in Rome, and all the way throughout our district. You can Google right now, and you can't find one time that Marjorie Taylor Greene has ever even uttered the word PFAS. She's not uttered the word clean water because she doesn't have a solution for it, and it's hard. And on top of that, but I can tell you what she voted for. She voted to close down the EPA. So at the end of the day, Marjorie is actually working on things to actually hurt the people here inside of our district. And the crazy part about what Marjorie's doing when it comes to this particular issue and immigration is Marjorie lives less than 50 miles away from me. She lives right there in Rome. Rome sued and won their case when it came to the PFAS issue. And they actually going to get a water purification place. The problem with that, that's only for the city of Rome. What about everybody else that's in the district? What about the farmers who put it on their pastures and now they can't sell the cattle, they can't do anything with it? Margie don't talk about any of these things. And that's why she don't want to come to a forum. That's why she don't want to come to the debate, because if the little old guy from Southwest Georgia that now lives up here in Northwest Georgia would simply ask the question, Margie, you have been in Congress for 5 years. What have you done to address this issue? She can't say anything. And that's why you could never get Margie ever to come on your show at all.
Yeah.
Period.
No, I don't know. I think she doesn't know this, but not romantically, but friendship wise, me and her, I think we would hit it off big time. We have so little in common. I think we would have so much to talk about because of it. She just doesn't know it. But yeah, so I think though, I think you hinted at it there at the end. I don't know if it's a matter of she doesn't want to. I don't think she could. Like I don't.
No.
She is just like, if you put in front of me, some Calc 2 test or something, I wouldn't even begin. You could tell me the answer, I couldn't get to it. And so I think that's the situation she's in.
Well, we just don't say leadership matters because it's some old cool slogan. Leadership matters is because when they turn off all the lights and everybody else go to sleep, leaders are up doing the hard work, getting smart on this, bringing in all the experts, and going to get to an answer and to a solution. That's what Shawn Harris is going to do. I want to make sure that I'm focusing on what are the biggest issues that are affecting us here in Northwest Georgia. On top of that, that's coming from the people. That's also coming from our guys that's up in the Gold Dome in Atlanta. I don't care if they Democrats or Republicans. From a federal point of view, my job is to help Georgia. My job is to work with our 2 senators and help Georgia. Hence, Marjorie, as she's made it clear, she hates both of our senators. She hates our governor. Well, hell, who do you like in Georgia? Absolutely nobody. Just yourself. And at the end of the day, don't yell at me talking about Georgia Bulldog. This is no football. This is real life. And what I'm saying to Marjorie Taylor Greene, between now and November 2026, show us, don't show me, show us where are you going to start working on real issues that affect real people here in this district. Because right now, she's doing a shell game of how can I get some likes on social media? How can I be seen on Fox? Or how can I go to Tucker Carlson's show?
Yeah. So you've convinced me you're the man for Georgia's 14th district. But that's not the problem, is it? So
no.
How do you flip? Now we saw, to be fair, we saw yesterday, so now people know when we're recording this. But we just saw in Iowa a red district flip, a 20-point flip. It went from plus 10 Republican, plus 10 Democrat.
Yeah.
Did that happen here in Georgia? How do you bring it home?
The way it happens is the reason why I'm running for a second time. The first time, people had to get to figure out, who is this Shawn Harris? Is he really for real? when the election went down, 135,000 people voted for me, and I thank every last one of them. But when you break that down, 5% of the people that voted for me also voted for Donald Trump. That's Republicans. And then on top of that, 12+% people actually voted for me, but did not vote for the vice president. I still don't really have that one figured out. But at the end of the day, that tells you here in my district, people are independent thinkers. Mm-hmm. Yes, they got on their red shirt and their blue shirt, but if you stay with the real issues that affect their families, that when they're sitting around their own kitchen table, they will come out on that Tuesday and quietly, they're not going to tell nobody, but they'll quietly go in there and they'll vote for whoever they want for governor, but they'll come to that next line and they'll say, I'm going to give this new general a chance because at least he mentions me in his sentences, because Marjorie Taylor Greene never talks about the people in this district. And that's how we're going to beat Marjorie Taylor Greene, because we're going to stay focused on the issues that are on the kitchen table for the people here in Northwest Georgia.
Man, I love it. I hope you can. I make no bones about it. I mean, if people, they see my channel, so they know where I stand. They know how I feel about Marjorie Taylor Greene. There is a big part of me that would wake up on the Wednesday morning and look at who won, who lost, who's staying home, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think I would rest easy knowing a couple things. One, we got back a little bit of humanity in our government. The people of Northwest Georgia are going to be represented. And we no longer have to see somebody just trying to make a spectacle of themselves on our dime.
Yes. I would tell you, I am convinced that this election, 2026, Democrats are going to show out and come out in great numbers. I'm also convinced independents are going to say, you know what, we see what's going on with the administration. We need to bring this thing back to the center, and they're going to come with me. And then common sense Republicans, Ronald Reagan Republicans are going to say, I'm going to give this Shawn Harris a chance. Because guess what? We give him a chance. If he don't actually produce and get results, hell, we got enough votes. We can vote him right back out in 2 years, whatnot. But when they put me in, they're going to get rid of what they really, really don't want, and that's Marjorie Taylor Greene. And when they put me in there, they're going to realize that they just put a leader in Washington, D.C., and they're going to say, you know what? That's our guy. I can care less what T-shirt he got on. He cares for us. I can see him in Walmart. I can stop by his house on the farm. I can talk to him any day out of the week. Everybody in the district got my doggone phone number. Hence, with Marjorie Taylor Greene, you can't get in touch with her. She has one office that's supposed to be open to the people. Guess what? Nobody works there. That's up in Dalton. We protest in front of her almost every week. With me, you're going to have 3 different offices open. You're going to have staff. And on top of that, every weekend, I promise you this, every weekend, I'm going to make sure that I go to one of those offices inside of our district and personally be there to make sure if somebody want to talk to me directly, they can come talk to me. That's what small town politicians do. I'm not the Atlanta guy. I live out here in Rockmart, Georgia. If you want to talk to me at Walmart, that's fine. If you want to talk to me at Dollar General, that's fine. Guess what? If you want to talk to me out in the pasture with the cows, that is fine. That's what we need here in Northwest Georgia. We don't need somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene that really wants to live in New York. She don't really want to be here. She wants to be on Fox News every day.
That's it. The difference between a job where you serve versus a job where it's all about you. Love it. So if people want to get involved, what's the best place to go?
Just go right to our website. That's Shawn Harris for Georgia. Look us up. Go to the very bottom of that list. It's going to say, you're going to see somebody called Renee. Renee is my chief of staff. Email her. We actually have a form that you can fill out to volunteer. And we're actually looking for volunteers right now. We're not waiting till next year. We already out knocking on doors. We knocking on doors for other candidates to help them get elected here in 2025. But we actually already out there ourselves engaging with the people. We're having a town hall next week, well, this week, actually tomorrow. But then on top of that, every county, all 10 counties, I will personally come there and do a town hall so that the local people have a chance to talk directly to me and ask me any question they want to ask. So we're getting at it. We're working hard. Anybody that wants to join our team, come on. And on top of that, I can care less if you're a Democrat, an independent, or a common sense Republican. Everybody's welcome to join this team of Leadership Matters to make a difference and win this thing.
Awesome. Love it. So you can't see it now, but below us, all the links are available if you guys want to check them out. Trust me, they're there. And by the way, if anybody reaches out, I promise you this, I've talked to Renee. She's an absolute sweetheart.
Yes.
Little person. Yeah. So you got a good person on your team there. Mr. Harris, I appreciate your time. I wish you the best of luck. And yeah,
Hey, man, I just want to thank you for your time. And I'm not Mr. Harris. I'm not General Harris. I'm not Brigadier General Harris. I'm just Shawn because I'm from Northwest Georgia. I live on a cattle farm. And guess what? When you live on a cattle farm, you got to be humble and work hard every day. So, hey, again, thank you for your time. And I look forward to seeing you again.
Love it. All right.
So that was Shawn Harris, who is running to represent the 14th District of Georgia. He'll be running against Marjorie Taylor Greene, the incumbent, and now it's time for my thoughts. First and foremost, I was thoroughly impressed with his handle on the national issues, whether it was tariffs and foreign trade, rising prices, immigration, the National Guard in our cities. He completely understood what's going on. He had his finger on the pulse. But the impressive part wasn't that he knew about those topics and could talk about them. It's that he related everything back to the 14th District of Georgia. Every issue he talked about it through the lens of the 14th District. And that is refreshing because that's a representative of old. Somebody who is hyper-focused, not on their party, not on partisan politics, but rather the people that they represent, the people that voted them into office. Now, we talked a lot about farming, a lot about the rural areas, and that's because it is the 14th District. Those are the people that he represented. Now, when you heard him say leadership matters, that may be a tagline for his campaign, but you could hear it in the things he said, in the way he addressed things. When he talked about working across the aisle, it wasn't about working with Republicans. It was about working with people that represented representative citizens just like his. Talked about Nebraska, Arkansas, Alabama. Like, look, we're not Republicans and Democrats. We are representatives of farmers. We are the group of people who understand what they're going through and what they need. So let's find more people like us, because right now it's people that want to help farmers and people that don't. That's the partisan divide, not Republican and Democrat. That is absolutely refreshing. That is what we need in the House of Representatives, in the Senate. Then also, when it came to President Trump, not once did he share his feelings about President Trump. Not once did he bash Trump. When it came to President Trump, it was how he could work with President Trump, how he could get into his office and sit down and talk to him about the problems that farmers, his voters, Trump's voters, they're facing, and how the issues and what the solutions to solve those issues. It was respectful. Yes, sir. No, sir. That right there is what we need. More of that. More of people looking just for solutions and not about themselves. And that's why, yeah, leadership matters. That's his tagline. But you can hear it in what he does. Now, I think the people of the 14th District in Georgia have a golden opportunity to have someone like that representing him. I know it's a Republican district, so he's got an uphill climb. But if anybody can do it, it certainly is him. Marjorie Taylor Greene is absolutely vulnerable. Republicans are right now. We're seeing it in the special election. But somebody like that can go to the people and talk to them and say, hey, I'm your neighbor. I'm going through the same thing you are. I want to get fixed because we got the same issues. I want to get those fixed. If he were in my district, I certainly would vote for him. If somebody like that were running, even if they were a Republican. I mean, I know people are like, oh, how can you vote for a Republican? But as somebody that is going to work for our district and understands our district, that's what you want. That's what we want and what we have to get back to. So there you go. Look for more interviews like this. I'll be talking to a ton more candidates so they can get out to you and tell you who they are, introduce themselves. We have a lot of work to do between now and 2026.